Hey everyone, it's Barb Shafran here from Shafran Herbals, live from my kitchen, where today I'm going to show you how to make my Shafran Herbals Peppermint Lip Balm. The first ingredient that we need is beeswax. Now I prefer the white beeswax and I prefer it in pellet form because A, it's easier to pour out and measure, and B, I find that it melts more easily. So this is going to be a beeswax based lip balm. The second ingredient that we're going to use today is coconut oil. You can use any brand. I do prefer to use the organic coconut oil just because I feel like it might be a bit healthier. The third ingredient that you're going to use is infused olive oil, peppermint infused olive oil. And you can look back at some of my previous videos where I show you how to make an infused oil and where I talk a little bit more in depth about peppermint. So I'll put the links to those videos in the description so you can learn a little bit more. So you're going to need some already infused peppermint infused olive oil. And just really quickly, the way you make it, you use olive oil, you put peppermint in there, you put it in a crock pot for a few hours on a very low heat, and that's how we make peppermint infused olive oil. Again, see my other videos so that you can understand how to make that. The fourth and final ingredient that you're going to need to make the Shafran Herbals Peppermint Lip Balm is peppermint essential oil. I do use the Acacia brand. I also use the Now brand. They're very good, reputable brands of essential oils. And I want to take a quick second here to make a side tangent about essential oils. Please be aware when it comes to essential oils that there are multi-level marketing companies that have done things like trademarked the words pharmaceutical grade. Essential oils are not regulated by any organization, not the FDA, nothing. So who therefore would grade them with the pharmaceutical grade? Nobody. It's a trademark name that they use in their marketing. Okay, so now we've talked about the ingredients that we're going to use. Now let's talk about the tools that we need. You're going to need a double boiler. You put water, then you put this so the steam heats this bowl, and that's how we're going to melt all of our ingredients together. And we use a double boiler so that our products don't get too hot because we don't want to damage some of the chemical compounds that make our herbal lip balm so powerful. The next tool that you need is stuff to fill your containers with. So depending on what you're filling, okay, easiest thing is to fill jars and to sell your lip balm in little jars or to give it away to people in little jars. You can use a little funnel for that, okay? That's the easiest way to fill. You can even use a scooper of some kind, okay? I happen to use containers, tubes that I get, and I get them from a company called SKS, and I actually use a medicine dropper to fill each tube. So it really does take me a while. It is a little bit labor intensive. So you know when you buy a Shafran Herbal lip balm, it's had a lot of time taken in it and care taken in its manufacture. Okay. So, and then shout out to my dad because he made me 3 of these things. These are the things that hold the tubes so that while I'm filling them, they don't tip over. He was over one day and found a solution to my problem. And so what I do is I just stick the tubes in here, and then this gets full of them, and then use the medicine dropper to fill each one. So those are the tools you need. A double boiler, something to put your lip balm in, a way to get your lip balm from the double boiler into whichever container that you are working with. All right, let's get started. The first ingredient we're going to put into the double boiler is the beeswax. So I'm using a dry measuring cup. I use a cup and a quarter in a dry measuring cup. That's how I measure the pellets. And then I'm going to go ahead and put that in the double boiler. The second ingredient that we're going to put into our double boiler is the coconut oil. Now the coconut oil, I'm going to use a rubber scraper, and I use 1/2 of a 7-ounce jar of the coconut oil when I make my lip balm. Here's a little hack. Sometimes you can put if you're using a glass jar, you can put the jar into the microwave for about 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Not too much, because again, you don't want to microwave, you don't want the heat to kind of kill the good chemical stuff that could be in any herbal thing we use. So just to soften it so that you can scoop it out of the jar much more easily. So this way you can get like almost all of it out in one big blob. Okay, the next ingredient that we're going to put into the lip balm is the infused olive oil, the peppermint infused olive oil. Now, I do use a dry measuring cup to measure mine, and I do have a few peppermint leaves that have gotten out of the jar. So I'm going to just pass my peppermint oil through a strainer so that it can catch that plant material. You can see I've got some leaves in here, just so that we don't want any leaf pieces in our lip balm. We have the beeswax, the coconut oil, and the peppermint infused olive oil in the double boiler, and we're going to wait for this to liquefy. After it liquefies, we're going to add the fourth ingredient, which is our peppermint essential oil. And again, we don't want too much heat, especially in the essential oil, because that can damage the chemical constituents. So we will wait until all of this melts. We'll turn off the heat, and then we're going to add the peppermint essential oil. So while the beeswax, the coconut oil, and the olive oil are warming, I am going to talk to you just a quick second about a good lip care routine. You know, lips have skin on them. Skin is the largest organ of your body. So a great thing to do for your skin health is to use a sugar scrub. I make a citrus sugar scrub, but sugar scrub is just as easy as sugar, olive oil. You can put essential oils for flavor or taste, but just the sugar and the olive oil, rub it over your lips to get any dead, dry stuff off, and then tap that with a towel, maybe splash with a little water, get some of that sugar off, and then follow with a moisturizing lip balm. You should do this every day, and this will keep your lips healthy and soft. So I melt the ingredients until there's a few clumps of beeswax left. Then I turn off the heat and let those final hunks kind of melt into the liquid. Now, alternatively, you could just put the solid ingredients in first, meaning put the beeswax first, then put the coconut oil. Just let those two things melt. Turn off the heat. Then put in your infused peppermint olive oil and your essential oils after the heat is turned off. However, I make it this way because I have always put the olive oil in with the rest of the oils, and it still makes a wonderful product. But if you do it, remember, the least amount of heat on your herbal products, the better. Okay, so I'm going to add the peppermint essential oil. What I do for this recipe is I take one of these bottles, but I take this top off. Okay, and then I pour half the bottle. Into the lip balm. You're using half the bottle and you're using just the first half of the bottle, so you still have half a bottle left. Then you need to put this stopper back in because it helps it from evaporating, and that way you'll keep this essential oil fresh. Here's a fun fact. If you're ever curious about the quality of the essential oils that you buy, you can take a white piece of paper like you would use in your computer printer and just put a drop of whatever oil you're curious about onto that piece of paper, and it should completely evaporate and leave nothing left on the paper. And that's how you know you have a pure essential oil. Some essential oils like chamomile will leave a little blue stain because certain species of chamomile will leave a blue stain, but even that blue stain will fade after a while. If you have any kind of residue left on your paper, then it's probably mixed with olive oil or some other kind of oil. It's diluted and it's not pure. So therefore you can buy your essential oils, you can test them yourself for purity. So this part is the hard part, and this is the part where I'm going to have to set my camera aside for a little while, but because I'm going to use my medicine dropper, and I'm going to take the stuff from the double boiler and I'm going to drop it into each of these tubes. So that takes me a while. It is the tedious part of this particular product, but I do it because I love making it, and I just love putting a little bit of extra love into each of the products that I make. Okay, so I have here a couple notes for you as you're filling your tubes. You're first going to make sure that that stick from the tube, the twisty tube, is in the upright position before you fill them. And I also washed all of these tubes with warm water and made sure that I clean them out of the bag, just because you just don't know when the containers come from the company what kind of powders or dusts could be on them. So I did rinse and clean the tubes before filling them. The third thing when you fill them is they get this little divot in the top as the wax hardens. If you make candles, you may notice that that happens with candles as well. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use my dropper and top off these so that it has a nice flat top and not this little dent. Okay. All 72 tubes of the lip balm are all filled and all topped off. You can see like the extra drips that we have to put on the top so that they don't have like a cone sunk in shape. So the next step for me is going to be to pop these out of the stand. And so I'll just pull it out of the stand. I will wipe each tube with a paper towel, clean paper towel, and then I will put a cap on, which has also been washed, onto each tube. Then I will, it snaps on there, then I will label it. I will put my ingredients label on, and then I'll safety seal it with my shrink wrap, and then I will have my Shafran Herbals lip balms ready to sell. Okay, and that's it for today. Today I showed you how to make the Shafran Herbals Peppermint lip balms, and I showed you how to do that using beeswax, coconut oil, and infused olive oil, and peppermint essential oil. And we used the double boiler for that. We melted it together. We used a medicine dropper to drop it into the tubes, and now we will package it and get it prepared for sale. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. I try to have new videos out at least once a month. I do herbal how-tos, and then I also do videos about the products and services that I make and that I perform as an herbal esthetician here in Pittsburgh. So thank you for your time. Please drop any questions or comments in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.